Greetings, and this is Kat Woodland, and I am, yes, once again in my kitchen. This is my podcast, otherwise known as a sequence of time in which I don't pause. I continue to claw my way to making a point of some kind. Well, today's discussion is on, I've closed out my disclosure. So Disclosure Day 6 was my last release. And I watched the movie, and I came away with what I am telling you now, which is ultimately what I would have made 7 be, but I thought, no. It's 6. That's sufficient. Because we're on to heaven on earth. We're on to the fact that this was a divine construction. It was a grand design. It's an intelligent design. In any beginning, there is light. In a beginning, there is an idea, a spark, God's spark, an inspiration. So, I was frustrated and angry in a lot of my videos in the past, and I'm not saying I don't have those feelings. I'm not a saint. There's no halo. But I've come to this place of like, okay, this all comes down to one thing for me, and it is to put your money where your mouth is. Be who it is you are. There's nothing holding you back but yourself once you escape the oppressor. You got to get rid of the one in your head. But also, this is what they don't teach you in Earth School, that there's a motor in your head, and it goes on and on and on, and it's called your thoughts. And your thoughts are not your own, but you have transmitter frequency, the ability to pick up audible and inaudible frequencies that can congregate as thought patterns. That's why it's best to focus on something uplifting and cheerful rather than being fascinated by young women being thrown off of a bridge without a rope during a rope swing. Paid experience without the rope. Ay. Grab a cup of cuppa, pull up a chair, or stand where you are. I'm gonna grab something. Oh, what am I gonna do? Ay. Oh, we're gonna have this. Do we have any? No. It's practically empty. Okay, we're gonna make an adult popsicle. Show you how. Without it freezing. I will show you the contents of my refrigerator another time. But for now, I am celebrating with bubbly. Yeah! And it's very, very exclusive. So be careful how many bottles you purchase. Essentially, for a punch for those of 21 years and older, you can make a really delicious punch by also getting this at the same market. And you're in the money, honey. Okay, so one of the things that I know I am is a teacher, other than also being a biological woman. Over in BitChute, I actually got into an argument just for a short amount of time, argument by way of chat thread, that no, I really am a female. And they called me and my sisters all raised to be trans. And for certain, this person's nutty. But he wasn't the only one. Or it wasn't the only one. Or whatever. Bot, whatever. It wasn't the only one. I got other comments like that, so I turned off the comments on BitChute. And the reason why I kept making videos is because whether this video station goes down or not doesn't matter, because I just like to create. So the message is going to find the right people. The message, the things I have to say, so the things I've had to say in the past. I follow Planetary Tantra, and I was speaking of the mother planet and as Gaia Sophia, and that actually changed my life, and I'm still down with that. The planet as being a living consciousness. She was the fallen wisdom goddess, but she was audacious. She acted out of turn and without in league with her consort. While he wasn't looking, she leaned into the project called Anthropos 10, and she fell so hard, she became part of the project. She's part of the experiment, and we are asleep in her dream while thinking we're awake and asleep to her dream. So wake up to the dream and consider it. So my consideration is, okay, where is my inner verse? What is important to how I conduct myself? And ultimately, what's my desired outcome? Well, I have innate goodness, but I have been mean. Never intentionally. I've tried. The meanest thing I ever did to my second husband was I took his eggplant parmesan, his recipe that he received from his mother without the meat in it. And I know the process. I've made it too. It's a labor of love. And he had it in a casserole, you know, the long, like a lasagna pan, ceramic, whatever, in the refrigerator. And I went in and went to the whole thing. Well, he didn't even notice. But I confessed. And then he goes, "Oh, I thought it looked different." He didn't even notice. And I confessed. So learning never to confess to anything that you did out of duress. That person has to actually know exactly what it was and not be venomous. If they're, it's not a little white lie. It's an evasive tactic meant for life preservation. I don't intentionally do things that are mean and harmful at all. Hey, cameraman, get out of the way of this cork. Woo! So, I'm in a place now of I figured this shit out. And now I can relax. And my channel, I might extend it into an interview style sort of thing to talk to people about things. But first I have to have a concept. And my concept is making heaven on earth. And living your life like it matters, because it does. And learning a craft or a skill like, you know, craft first aid. How to make your own balms and stuff. Find out who your local farmers markets are, network. Who's got the goat milk soap. I'm going to go blah, blah. I'm going to go get some goat milk soap, baby. That's what I'm going to do. Cheers to that. So sow your wild oats in a good way and get to know whomever it is that makes some goat soap locally. If you're in a marriage with a narcissist, just make sure you have your ass covered, because if they're going to be devious about anything, they're going to be passive aggressive about it. Like your toothbrush. Let's see, what else did mine do? Like they cancel things. They might do credit card. And any matter of things. You have to look for anything that they might do passive aggressively. Even while married. And like marriage now at this point, it's a contract. If I had a narcissist for a wife, I would not put her into power of attorney ever. I wouldn't. Nope. I would have anybody but your spouse, if they're narcissistic in any way. This is just my recommendation. I'm not a doctor. This is not medical advice. And if you ruin your life, and she doesn't like that and like wants to make me responsible. No, I'm not responsible for anybody deciding that a pathological narcissist should be power of attorney. I am not advocating for that at all. In fact, I am suggesting the very opposite, but I am not legally allowed to give you counsel. So, I think it's really important to get your spiritual house in order. Get your house in order, meaning get your affairs in order, not the physical ones, although that's a good idea. I think I'm getting my physical ones in order, and they're a mess, and I think that's probably reflective of my spiritual ones, because I have been all over the place, and I do come across as a total whack job. But anybody who knows me, intimately knows me, and knows how I operate in the real world, they know I've been through what I've been through, and it's surprising how much I can actually keep my SHIT together. I have a lot of love in my heart, you know. And you know something, even with all the experience that I've had with men that has been not to my ultimate best interest, it served the purpose. It taught me things. But you know what? I'm done with that lesson. You know, it took me 3 though. Oh. But that's what you have for a mother, so you're programmed. So I understand programming, and I talked about in the disclosure sequence series that I just did about the movie, but also on what I would like to have disclosed. And it's that what will happen when people's telepathic capabilities come on board. I would love the inability to manipulate people, the inability to lie, like having to tell the truth. But here's the deal: what a narcissist does is they don't speak; they actually stay quiet. Their lying is by omission. What you don't know can't hurt you, that sort of thing. But what you don't know hurts you a lot on the energy level. So then if you had that telepathy, then you would know what they were up to, and you'd be able to at least know. It took me a really long time. I just couldn't believe it. He would just do the neighbor like that. And then I go, oh, that's right. Didn't take him long to get into my panty drawer either. I blame it on my body. My body wanted him so bad. I mean, it dripped. It dripped. I had never had anybody make me throb. Just having him within my 3 to 4 foot range, I'd become excited and aroused. But girls, I gotta tell you, that's a sign of a perilous and toxic experience with explosively delicious sex that you then confuse with love, if you're like me, instead of knowing what it really is, which is a nice ride in fantasy land. And it will cost you a whole lot more than that theme park. Relatively. If you stay on that ride. It'll cost you a lot. Self-abandonment, you know. But I learned what I had to learn, so I can at least tell women. There's a young lady I know who got hoovered back, but by her own demise. She's trauma bonded. She's so addicted to the attention that her narcissist husband will give her, that if he gives her any breadcrumb, she throws herself back into his arms. Women, you're throwing yourself into the volcano. You're sacrificing yourself. And it's the wrong volcano. It's a ferocious appetite of the male narcissist. And enough is never enough. And their favorite thing to do is to verbally berate. And they will deny you sex. In her case, she felt bad about it. In my case, I told my my ex, I was like, okay, well, you don't want to, we can't just lay together. No, he denied me intimacy. And it was like, okay, we don't have to make love. Why don't we just lay here? He goes, no, I don't want to lay down. It hurts me. So he was pulling all of that because he was yanking it and wanking it to some visual at the computer upstairs. That was on the opposite end of the house. So I'm like, okay, well, if you hear some moaning, it's just me and my friends, my hands. Because I would really like to have an orgasm. I was in my lusty 40s, healthy, sexy. But he was almost a decade older. Boy, does that make a difference when they're older and you're in your 40s. Women, ugh. Goodness gracious. But here's the deal, though. I mean, that's how I am in bed with a married man, my husband. But getting to know a person, you know, I get to know them. Usually, don't I? Nope. Oh, there's my track record. I went into a sexual relationship with these guys way too soon. I should have gotten to know them better. But that's how I got to know men better, with my body. But I didn't realize how it confused me. But, you know, here's the deal. I have a really strong sex drive. Oh, well. I learned a lot. I learned enough to be able to counsel, okay? I think it's better to wait until that you guys really have to know each other. You have to have the same values. What are values? That which is important to you in life. Meaning, do you want to go out on Friday night and get completely plowed and then be too hungover to enjoy Saturday morning? Or do you want to have maybe if you're young, one happy hour cocktail with your friends. You go home and you have hopefully a study, and eventually you know, get healthy together and get a cat and a dog. And a his and her wing. And prenuptials. And you make it a contract. And you talk about everything, including what happens if he gets really sick. Do you guys have like health insurance that will cover it? You have to like talk about all that nowadays. But what if, what if that's all over? Like, what if, what if these days are numbered? You know, if the Hopi prophecy and all of that, right? So live your life like it matters. There's all these predictions. I don't think that we're going to have a doomsday. And also, I do know this. On the other side, this lifetime is like this. So, relatively speaking, when the end is near, the end is near has been going on for like hundreds of years. They really mean it is near. Because relatively, 100 years is a snap of the finger. Okay? You're talking about fractions of seconds. So we're at the end of a cycle, too. We have all this crazy stuff going on. And I don't pretend to know it. This is all I know. I'm supposed to be here and not just as a witness. I've held the energy. I've gone places physically with my body and connected to the earth and just sort of like coded in. Just like I got yelled at by the guy at Mountain Light Sanctuary, and it took a couple years, but Mother Nature took out his bridge and several of his adobes. He was an asshole to me. He didn't understand what I was doing. He judged me. All he did was send me sinister vibes, and he pretended to be holy. So I couldn't go back. But I told other people, hey, it's really great. This is what it has to offer. You can rent a space and you can choose them, and there's some inside and some partially. I had it was a tent on two sides and a wall on two sides. And I brought a candle and I lit it, and it was low light, and I had it flickering all night long. And I had a pea jar. And then I'd mark my territory with the pea. I don't know if that was bad, but that's what I did. And one of the girls had sniffing outside of where she was sleeping. She was staying in the banana hut, which is penetrable. And she went and stayed in the gypsy wagon after that. So it was a cool place. It was a banana patch. You could stay in places that were like tree houses, and then you could stay at places that were like Frodo's. It was like built into the river. I have a picture of a blue orb. Maybe I'll use that as the thumbnail. Yeah, I captured the blue orb. Oh, it's on my other computer. Well, anyway. Yeah, from here I think I'm just, I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. I'm going to put my energy, not my money, but that's a figure of speech. I'm going to embrace what it is I came here to do. And it's not the belly ache about what's here. It's a wreck. Nobody likes it. The reincarnation thing is a trap, but here's the good news. Now we know, and now it won't happen to us. So this time, rather than thinking about death, think about life as a preparation for the great unknown. And then meanwhile, envision a world you want to see being here now and create it with your people as best as you know how. Okay? Love you.